Today I'm testing 5 amazing Jody Jazz Tenor Sax mouthpieces that range from dark through to really bright, and I'm going to be giving them a play test. In fact, I'm going to be giving them the Careless Whisper test today. Yes, that's right, I'm going to be playing Careless Whisper on all of these mouthpieces just so you can compare how they sound when I'm playing the same thing on every mouthpiece. Now, I'm also going to be sharing some tips with you today about how you should approach changing a mouthpiece or upgrading a mouthpiece. This is really important if you're a beginner or an intermediate player. So if you like a more commercial sound on saxophone and looking for a mouthpiece, then stick around because this video is definitely for you. Let's get going. G'day, it's Nigel here from Sax School Online. Hey, thanks so much for joining me again for one of these videos. But if it's your very first time here, then g'day, nice to meet you. And it'll really help me out if you give me a thumbs up or maybe subscribe to the channel too, just so I know that you like these type of videos. I'm making all sorts of different things on the channel and I'd love to know which ones you like best. So right out the gate, why am I even making this video? Well, we've got thousands of students that learn with us inside Sax School Online in the members area, and I see a lot of people struggle to make the right choice when they're upgrading their mouthpiece, because as you are developing as a saxophone player, one of the best, easiest and quickest ways that you can make a great change to your sound is by updating the mouthpiece, particularly if you've got the stock mouthpiece that came with the saxophone when you first purchased it. But it's tricky to know which mouthpiece to go for because there are so many choices, and within all the different brands there's also loads of different models to consider. So it's quite an overwhelming decision, very difficult to make that decision. I know I've struggled in the past to work this out myself, and I see it happen amongst my students. So what I wanted to do today was to give you a side-by-side comparison with a bunch of mouthpieces from the one manufacturer, and so you can hear how they sound side by side, and hopefully that will really help you to find the sound that appeals to you. Now, I'm a massive fan of Jody Jazz and their mouthpieces. I think Jody Espina is a really cool cat. He's done a bunch of stuff for our Sax School members actually. He's super supportive, and I know all of the members that have purchased one of his mouthpieces get amazing support from his team. And actually, I've been playing on his mouthpieces for the last few years myself, and I really enjoy them. I like the consistency of them. I like the fact that they're all reliable mouthpieces. They work well with reeds. I know I can trust them. I put a mouthpiece on from Jody Jazz and I know it's going to do a good job for me. And that's why I like to talk about them to my members as well. Plus, I actually think they've got a good range of mouthpieces in terms of style and price, so you can find something that works for you. So the mouthpieces I'm looking at today range from the Custom Dark at the dark end of the spectrum right through to the SuperJet on the top end of the spectrum. So we're starting off with the Custom Dark. I'm going to play on an 8. Then we've got the HR Star, also size 8. The Jet, which is the brightest of the hard rubber mouthpieces I'm testing today. I'm playing on a 7 star. And then I've got 2 metal mouthpieces in the test today. I've got the incredible DV. I'm going to play an 8 star. Now this is the mouthpiece that everyone raves about because it's incredible. And then to finish off, we've got the brightest of all the mouthpieces today. It's the metal SuperJet, and I'm going to be playing on a 7 star today. Now, to keep things really consistent, I'm actually going to be using a cane reed today. Whoa, I hear you say. Nigel's been playing on Leger reeds for like the last 5 years. You're right. To be honest with you, I had to dig through my cupboard to find a cane reed today because I always use synthetic reeds. And in fact, as well as the Leger reeds, I have been, which I love by the way, I think they're awesome. I've also been testing the D'Addario Ven reeds over the last few weeks. These are also pretty amazing. However, I found that on the DV, I struggled to get either of these reeds to sound the way I like them to sound. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and just play on a cane reed for all the mouthpieces today. So I'm using a Van Doren ZZ 2.5, and I'm going to use that same reed on all the mouthpieces. Now, just before we get started with the test, I want to issue a health warning. This is a Sax School mouthpiece testing health warning. If you're changing a mouthpiece, you've really got to be patient with it, and you've got to be prepared to take some time, because when you change to a new mouthpiece, you've got to adjust with your muscles, with your concept of sound, all these things. It takes, even with me, and I've been playing for like 40 years, it takes me weeks to adjust to a new mouthpiece. So I've been playing with all of these mouthpieces for the last few weeks. And also for me, because of the YouTube channel and because of all of our students in sax school, I'm constantly testing mouthpieces, so I've become a bit more flexible. But if you are only playing on one mouthpiece normally, then be prepared to spend a few weeks to adjust to your new mouthpiece. You need to get your muscles used to it, but you also need to find the reed that's going to match your new mouthpiece too. So it's a long journey. And the other thing I'd say to you is you've got to be very careful about testing mouthpieces in the music shop. Definitely do that. If you've got the opportunity to, definitely go and try a mouthpiece out in the shop. But when you do that, take a bunch of different reeds, take a bunch of different types of music to play, and spend as much time as you possibly can. Because your first impression isn't always going to be the same as how you feel about that mouthpiece a week or a month down the track. So you've really got to take some time. Don't jump at your first opinion or impression of a mouthpiece, and be prepared to put the yards in to really get used to a new mouthpiece that you swap to. Okay, let's get stuck in with the test. Okay, the first mouthpiece in our test is the Jody Jazz Custom Dark. I really love this mouthpiece, and actually I've been playing it a lot for the last couple of years, I'd say. It's a really versatile mouthpiece, very open, probably on the darker end of the spectrum than what most people consider, but I love its versatility. Let's have a listen. The Custom Dark is an awesome mouthpiece because it's very big and round inside, and for a lot of people they may think, well, it sounds a little bit too dark for me. But here's the thing, if you really push this mouthpiece, you can get a big sound and a bright sound as well, but it's not a very loud mouthpiece. And for me, that's perfect because I'm playing most of the time in my studio here, and I'm playing a whole range of styles, right? From classical one day to pop the next day to funk or blues the day after. So I need something that can do all sorts of things, and really the Custom Dark can do that. So you'll see some commercial players that use the Custom Dark. You'll see people that play in concert bands or in ensemble type settings. Even an orchestral player could probably get away with this mouthpiece. And it makes me want to explore all the range of the saxophone as well. Now the Custom Dark is one of the most expensive hard rubber mouthpieces that Jody Jazz do. It's about $395 US. Still not very expensive when you compare it to some of the metal mouthpieces that are on the market, and even the metal mouthpieces from Jody Jazz. Oh, I forgot to mention, for all the mouthpieces today, certainly the hard rubber ones, I'm using the Jody Jazz Power Ring ligature. This is actually pretty cool. They're about $100. And it's quite a weighty thing. It makes putting the reed on and off super easy. Let me show you. It's like literally, you literally just slide it in. That's it, dead easy. But the extra weight seems to add something to the sound. I like it. Okay, let's take things up a notch now. The next mouthpiece is just a HR Star. So this is a great sort of entry-level upgrade mouthpiece from Jody Jazz. And it's got a slightly higher baffle inside than the Custom Dark, and that makes it a little bit brighter. Let's hear what it sounds like. Oh man, I'd forgotten how cane reeds always need adjusting. The good old reed geek to the rescue. You know, the HR Star always surprises me. It's actually relatively inexpensive. It's one of the cheapest mouthpieces on the test today. And this is a great first step upgrade option if you're looking to go from your mouthpiece that came with your saxophone to a more professional level saxophone mouthpiece. It sounds great too. It's a bit brighter than the Custom Dark, and I think maybe the response isn't quite the same as the Custom Dark. It's nearly half the price of it. But the sound is brilliant, and it's got that little bit of an edginess to it, which really inspires me to play in a more contemporary and bright setting. This would be a great mouthpiece if you're playing a variety of styles, certainly if you're playing in a big band, if you're doing any pop band work. If you want a mouthpiece that can do lots of different things and isn't crazy expensive, this is a really good choice. It makes me want to play like this. The HR Star is around about 199 US dollars. Okay, it's time to look at the brightest of the hard rubber mouthpiece I'm testing today. This is the Jet. I'm doing it in a 7-star, and you know, this is quite an interesting mouthpiece. If you look inside it, it's got a higher table, and that's what really helps to make it sound brighter. Also, it's got a smaller chamber inside. Now, I'm no saxophone mouthpiece designer. I'm just telling you what I see when I look into these mouthpieces. But if you compare the Jet with the Custom Dark, you can see that the table is much higher inside the Jet, and that's what makes the air go faster, and in turn makes the sound brighter. Right, let's bung it on and have a listen. Wow, so that's a much brighter sound. I don't know if you can hear it that end. Can you? Let me know in a comment. It's definitely a lot brighter and a lot louder in the studio here. I like it though, and I think if you're playing in a rock band or you want to really project over the other members of your band, then this might be a good choice. But it's harder to get a smooth, mellow sound with this mouthpiece. It really makes me want to play in a more aggressive way and to focus on those harsh, bright sounds. So playing in funk band or playing some really energetic music in any style, I suppose, rock, could even be some commercial stuff, I think it'd be a good choice. Makes me want to do this. The Jet is also 199 US dollars. Hey, just before I move on to the metal mouthpieces, let me know if you already play a Jody Jazz mouthpiece. Which one do you play on? Let me know in the comment down below. I'd love to know. Okay, so the first of our metal mouthpieces I'm testing today is the Jody Jazz DV. Now, this is a classic mouthpiece. Loads and loads of people play this mouthpiece because it's a super versatile mouthpiece. For example, a bunch of the superstar legendary sax players that we have come and do special masterclasses for our sax school members use this mouthpiece. Guys like Tom Scott. You've been listening to Tom Scott your whole life because he's literally played on hundreds of the most famous pop albums ever. He plays on this mouthpiece. Also, Andy Snitzer uses it. He's touring with Billy Joel and Paul Simon these days. Plays with the Rolling Stones back in the day too. He uses this mouthpiece. Loads of guys use it. I love this mouthpiece too. It is a super versatile mouthpiece. Now, one of the things that a lot of people fall into the trap of when they compare a metal mouthpiece with a hard rubber mouthpiece is that they think immediately that the metal mouthpiece is going to be brighter and the hard rubber mouthpiece is going to be softer. And it's really not the case at all. It's not the metal or the material that the mouthpiece is made from, it's the internal shape that makes the most difference. And that's why I actually think the Jet is probably almost brighter than the DV. But you have a listen and see what you think. Now, there's some cool things going on with the design of the DV. And again, I'm not a mouthpiece designer, but I like the way it's got this massive opening in the facing here. And when I've done sessions with Jody Espina for Sax School, he's told me that that helps for the way the reed vibrates and the way that the reed responds to the mouthpiece. Must be doing something right because this mouthpiece does play amazing. However, like I said at the start, I need to use a cane reed with this mouthpiece, not a synthetic. Let's have a listen to see what it sounds like, and then you can let me know what you think of it. Oh, I am going to use the power ring ligature for the DV as well, but it's a smaller mouthpiece, so it's got a smaller power ring ligature. So when you order your power ring ligature, you've got to make sure you specify which mouthpiece you need it for so you get the right size. So what do you think about the sound of the DV? Can you hear it, whether it's brighter or darker? What do you think about it in comparison to the Jet? What I really love about the DV is it feels really sensitive to me. So if you get the reed right for it, then you can actually, it feels like you can just sort of breathe into the mouthpiece and get it to do what you want. Now, all of the Jody Jazz mouthpieces for me are excellent for altissimo. I know a lot of you will be wondering about that. And if your saxophone's working well, they're great for the low register too. So equally, all of the mouthpieces are fantastic for getting over the whole range of the saxophone, but I definitely find with the DV, it feels, I don't know, I feel more connected to it in some way. And it also opens up my mind to being able to get lots of different sounds out of the mouthpiece, from a sort of subtle, smoky jazz sort of sound to a commercial sound to maybe not a classical sound, but you could probably get away with it in a big band as well, provided that your band leader was okay about you turning up with a metal mouthpiece. Trust me, that's an issue sometimes. It makes me want to play like this. Now the Jody Jazz DV is the most expensive mouthpiece on test today. They're $595 US. But I have to tell you, if you get one of these, it's going to last you your whole life, as long as you get the size right and then find the right reed to match you. So the final mouthpiece in our test today is the SuperJet. Now this is a serious looking mouthpiece. I love the fact that it's silver in comparison to the gold of the DV. And when you look at the mouthpieces, the internal of the mouthpieces side by side, the SuperJet compared to the DV, you can see that they are very different shapes. There's that really pronounced ridge in the table of the SuperJet. Now they say this is a pretty bright mouthpiece. It certainly sounds bright to me. Let's pop it on and have a listen. Now also the SuperJet mouthpiece comes with a ligature. It's more of a standard type metal ligature. So I'm going to use that instead of the power ring, but still with the same reed. So what do you think about the sound of the SuperJet? I can tell you in the studio here, it is loud. This is a loud mouthpiece. In fact, I was talking to Fred Vigda. He's one of our Sax School tutor team, and he plays with Average White Band. He's been touring with them for like 20 something years. He uses the SuperJet, but he's got a massive sound and he's doing big venues all the time. For him, this is a perfect mouthpiece. And I think if you're playing in that sort of loud environment where you need lots of projection, you need a massive sound, and you want a bit of edge to your sound so you can cut through too, then this mouthpiece would be a good choice. But I would be reluctant to suggest this to less experienced players. Now, other people may disagree with me. Maybe Jody Espina would disagree with me. But I would discourage less experienced players from going for this mouthpiece because it's harder to control. And often it can mean that you'll get a brighter sound than what you are going for, and it can also limit your choices for the sort of sounds that you can get out of your mouthpiece. But it's pretty cool, and if you're interested in really high energy stuff, then you can get some lovely sounds out of this mouthpiece. The Jody Jazz SuperJet is $395. So, what's your favourite of those mouthpieces? There's a whole range there from dark to bright, and I'd love to know which was your favourite, which you think would match the sort of playing that you do. Let me know in a comment down below. Now, the final thing I want to leave you with is that I think when it comes to making saxophone mouthpiece choices, it's always better to err on the side of a dark mouthpiece rather than a brighter mouthpiece. Why? Well, it gives you the most options with your playing. I can tell you from experience that if you do make that choice to go for the really, really bright mouthpiece, which might feel, particularly us blokes, right? Our testosterone gets going and we think, oh man, I want to get that big, bright sound. I want to be the loudest saxophone in the band. So I'm going to go get the brightest mouthpiece that there is out there. It makes you feel good for about 3 weeks, and then eventually you realize that everybody's covering their ears when you're playing. You can't play something quiet, and it really limits your choices. That's the whole point, right? For some people, this is perfect. But if you're not sure, if you haven't got a clear idea of what your sound is, or if you're playing in lots of different styles, or if you're a less experienced player, then you're far better off to go for a more middle-of-the-road mouthpiece that will give you the most options with your sound. So, of the mouthpieces that we tested today, my favorite ones are, I love the DV, I also love the HR Star, but probably my favorite is the Custom Dark. And now that's right at the bottom end of the spectrum, but actually, I mean, to be honest with you, my perfect mouthpiece would be somewhere between the HR Custom Dark and the HR Star, because I like the way this plays really freely. But I like the little bit of edge that you get with this mouthpiece. So who knows, maybe down the track we'll have a Jody Jazz option that fits in between those two. But I would suggest that for most players, if you haven't got the budget for the DV, then I would suggest going for either of these two mouthpieces, the Custom Dark or the HR Star, because that's going to give you a great step-up mouthpiece from a stock mouthpiece that might come with your saxophone. And then you can feel your way from there. As you develop your skills, you'll be able to get a bigger variety of sounds out of your saxophone, and you'll be able to have the option of expressing yourself to find out what's right for you without being railroaded down just one type of sound. Hey, really, I hope that's been helpful to you. As always, if you want to find out more about what we're doing in Sax School, because we're talking about all different styles in Sax School all the time, then right now there's a 14-day trial where you can come and try out Sax School for yourself and see if it's right for you. We've got literally thousands of players from all around the world, just like you, using our lessons every single day, getting help from our tutor team, attending our live masterclasses that we do, getting involved with our monthly challenges, and connecting with our incredible community. It's all there for you, and you can try it out with a 14-day trial. So look for the links down below. And if you do want to grab Careless Whisper and learn how to play that, I've also got a lesson for you inside our Sax School locker. You can find the link for that down below too. It's absolutely free, or follow the links from the courses page of our website. Hey, thanks for watching. Keep practicing hard. I'll catch you next time.